Hello, this is Brennan Wilmington from the Left Turn Network, and welcome back to another Lumen Stocker Invitational Series race, season number 5, race number 8. And for the second week in a row, we are under the lights, but this time over in Natick, Massachusetts, just on the outskirts of the Boston metro area, for our only New England race on the schedule at the 1 mile Hillside Raceway. This race was very chaotic last year. We saw the biggest crash in LSCI history. And in the end, Corbin Taps ended up taking the win in that one. But we've got 36 drivers to try and determine who will take the second trophy here from the Hillside Raceway. And it's going to be a very interesting one for sure. This track is very well known for its chaos, both in terms of racing and in terms of accidents sometimes. Hopefully we don't see as many of the latter and a lot more of the former. Of course, it's going to be very hard to top what we saw last year. 7/1000ths of a second, last week I should say. 7/1000ths of a second between Jacob Lopez and Nathan Buchanan. But it's going to be a fun one for sure. Joining me in the booth for the first time is Regent, and this is your first LSCI race that you've commentated. What are your expectations going ahead on this one?
I mean, so much can happen. Like you said, we saw last week so many crashes, so many big ones. It's all just a matter of who can control the car the best, who can prevent it from sliding up the banking. We know from last year's race, these cars do tend to slide a lot with these high banks. So it's all just a matter of the driver being able to hold on to that car and seeing who can do it best. I mean, it's all up for grabs for anybody.
Yeah, and I think running it during the night is a bit of a different beast than doing it during the day. You actually have a lot more grip on the racetrack, but don't be fooled. This track is still very slippery. You can see that concrete on it, very similar to Dover Motor Speedway, which we used to go to before Hillside was on the schedule. And it's going to be a fun one for sure. We got two pit cycles expected for this race, but if we get some cautions, that could break it up a little bit. And pit strategy has been a key driving force this year more than any other year. We've seen so many races determined by a late pit sequence or even fuel mileage at the end. So, Regent, if I'm the crew chief on top of the box right now, what is my best call to time out those two pit stops and make sure that your driver is in first towards the end?
I think we've seen it in a few races. If I were to call my driver in for a pit stop during a green flag cycle, I'd want to be one of the first ones in because I've noticed a lot of times, like we saw, I believe it was last week, it was Vinny who was on the verge to possibly win the race until they had a slow pit stop going the second time around and then eventually ended up costing them the win. So if I were to make the call, I would definitely want to be one of the first ones to come in so you have that speed advantage coming back out.
All right, let's go ahead and look at our starting lineup. On the pole is the number 27 NH Motorsports Toyota, driven by Holly Martin. This is her first pole of the season, and she was riding a wave of momentum until she got involved in a wreck at Kansas. So trying to recover there in that number 27. Kobe Hollenbeck starting outside pole. It's been an up and down ride for Hollenbeck and Martin Swain Race Team in their first full-time season. Uh, Four finishes inside the top 15, but the other three were all DNFs or poor showings. So we'll see what this two car has in terms of speed. Starting on the front row, looking very good for Hollenbeck. Row number 2 is Joanna Clark in the number 58, the surprise upset winner twice last year. But she's established herself as a solid driver now, carrying the torch for Diamond Motorsports, especially since their other car, driven by Wesley Shelton, has DNQ'd again. So it's good for them that Clark is starting up here. And alongside her is the number 45 of James Harvin, who's had a very silently consistent season. 5 top 10s to start the year. Pretty good shout for the Amateur Series champion from 2024, the sophomore driver for Motor Racing Ventures. And we'll see if Harvin can bag another one of those top 10s here at Hillside. Row number 3, the 62 of Vinnie Scholes, still in search of her first win. Almost had it at Kansas, but did not get the strategy right at the end and had to settle for 4th. But she has another good starting spot here at Hillside. Alongside her is the 66 of Tyler Landry, one of the best in the business for sure. Has yet to win a race this year, but he's definitely recovered from his slow start. Row number 4, JT Boyd in the number 77 and the 29 car of JB Chanot. And in row number 5 is the 3 car of George Bryan alongside Kate Summers in the 32. Row 6, you've got Charlie McCarron still looking for her first win alongside Alnita Kim, who leads the points by 52 points. That's over a race's worth. But once again, we've got the chase, so that reset's going to be looming large. But the regular season champion does get a hefty amount of bonus points, so that's still a good sign for Alnita Kim, the absolutely outstanding rookie this year. Then we got your defending champion, Tim Berry, in the number 1 car, starting alongside Billy Smith in the 88. We've got the 6 of Lori Jackson trying to turn around her season alongside the 98 of Kevin DuPont. Simon Lawrenson starting inside the top 20 alongside the 36 of Ashley Blake, and rounding out the top 20 is the 81 of Jack Gino, who's also trying to turn around his struggle of a start to the year. And last year's winner in this race, the number 16 of Corbin Taps. Cooper Spur starting in row 11 alongside the 57 car of Shauna Everett. Row number 12 consists of Akia Tajima in the 99 and the 19 car of Jake Sidney, who is the highest up Ford in points despite only being in 12th. Ford has been struggling a lot this year, but they're going to try and turn it around here at Hillside. Number 40 car, Adrian Wheeler alongside Karina Willis-Callaway in the number 41. Then you got the 39 car of Laken Herndon alongside the 18 of Zach Dearman. Couple of Motor Racing Ventures teammates, Jacob Lopez and Michael Harvin, starting in row 15. Row 16 is Martin Swain in the 20 and the 8 of Darren Walker. Ryan Silva is back in the number 9 for the first time in a couple of seasons. I believe he was last driving Hudson Motorsports' 3rd car when it was a part-time car, but he has stepped in the wheel of the number 9 car this week, and we'll also see him next week at Iowa. So good to have Silva back in the field, the driver from Alberta, and alongside him is the 70 of Damon Kirby, and rounding out the field is Lulu Connie in the number 92, and the 15 car of Nathan Buchanan, so close to winning last week, lost by 7 one-thousandths of a second. 1 D&Q in this race, and we already mentioned him, Wesley Shelton in the number 65. It will be a 100-lap race, and that sounds like a lot, but the laps really fly by here, only about 20-second lap times, and these cars are going to be flying around this track as well because of all that banking. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top at the Hillside Raceway, and we are ready to go from Massachusetts.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the field will roll off of the banked back straightaway here at the Hillside Speedway. And Regent, who do you think is going to win today's race?
Oh man, there's so many options. I mean, so many drivers. Some like Jacob Lopez have been very consistent, so he's starting in the back. I mean, if I were to pick a driver, I think Vinny's gonna be able to come back from after what happened last week. I got Vinny winning this race.
Vinny Scholl starting in P5, still looking for that first win, but it will be Holly Martin and Kobe Hollenbeck leading them to the green. We are underway here at Hillside.
Ooh, very close there. Entering 3, a little low went Holly Martin. Almost got turned by
Joanna Clark.
And
there.
She's
gonna lead the first lap with Scholes and Boyd behind. You're gonna see a bit of a cycle, especially very early in the race, of cars swapping positions up at the front, because you do not want to get stuck on that outside lane. You can see what that has already done to Holly Martin. 3 wide through the corner. There's not a lot of room for 3 wide, but they like to push the issue on this track, and that could lead to some accidents, but so far so good, as I believe Hollenbeck slid up the track. Harvin's trying to go underneath, and you can just see how much better that inside lane is compared to the outside. Again, very similar to a place like Dover, as Landry's just getting right up at the quarter panel of that 2 car. Oh, Silva is getting turned, but he's gonna save it if he can merge back up in front of the field, and he cannot. Lulu Connie is around. Billy Smith, Charlie McCarron, and Kobe Hollenbeck. And we've got our first crash of the race on lap 4. Oh boy.
Oh man, just not a good spot there for Sylvia to come back up the track, but what can you do? You're entering the corner. I mean, it was just a very tough spot.
Yeah, he got almost spun off of turn 4, but he caught it. Unfortunately, there was not a good place for him to merge back on the track, and he kind of forced a gap where there wasn't one, and took a few with him. So that's unfortunate there. You know, it's been a while since Silva's been in a car. Maybe just a bit of just a few wiggles that he needed to get out, but unfortunately took a few with him. We got some split strategy here. JT Boyd, Corbin Taps, and Lakin Herndon are staying out, but most of the field is coming in. You want to definitely get on those fresh tires, but they only ran a few laps, so I'll be interested to see if Boyd, Taps, and Herndon end up benefiting a bit from this.
I
Oh,
think they
Adrian
will. I
Wheeler.
mean,
Adrian Wheeler has a lot of damage. I didn't see him in the initial accident, so maybe there was a secondary incident at some point, and I believe he's now out of the race, as I can't find him anymore. Yeah, he is out of the race. Tim Berry is out of the race, so his bad season continues. He's going to finish in last. There
man,
must
that
have
was
been something
after
else. There must have been something
after
else that
coming
went
off.
on.
I'm sorry. After just going after a terrible finish from last week, tumbling down the corner at Kansas, just adding on to that terrible season as you mentioned. Just this is a little preview. This is what we're gonna get the rest of this race.
It's definitely possible, but yeah, Joanna Clark is still the race leader. Lori Jackson up in second. This is a driver that definitely needs a good run. Ashley Blake, Karina Willis Calloway, and Alnita Kim will come out as the top 5 in the pit lane. Nathan Buchanan, who started on the last row, due to, you know, the shenanigans and also the pit strategy, has already found himself in the top 10. That's just how quickly things can change here at Hillside, and we still got 93 more laps to go. And we had several cars out of the race. I do believe there was probably 2 different incidents because I did not see Wheeler and Barry involved in that first one. So we'll go ahead and show you what happened under this caution, and then we'll get you back to the restart here at Hillside. Well, the caution was actually not for the crash that Ryan Silva started. It was actually for this one that was further back. Tim Berry and Charlie McCarron, they were 4 wide there on the front straightaway. But you could see the accident starting to happen in front of them, the one that we saw, as Silva got turned and then went up the track into Lulu Connie, caught up Billy Smith and Kobe Hollenbeck, and then Charlie McCarron nowhere to go, and she was kind of involved in that first one too. So lots of crashing here on the front straightaway. That was 2 separate crashes. The caution was for Barry, and I did notice him behind this crash and was kind of wondering what was going on there, but that's actually going to take Barry out of the race. He DNF'd because of this. Billy Smith, as well as a few others, also going to be out of the race, including Lulu Connie, Charlie McCarron, and several others. And that was not it for this lap either.
And taking another look over here, Wheeler coming up at the track in front of Hollenbeck off of turn 4, ends up getting turned for some reason, going up into his lane as he was coming off of the corner. I mean, just nowhere for Kobe to go. Adrian goes around entering turn 1, and that pretty much ended the 40s day. And right there, Lulu Connie, already involved in a wreck earlier, just nails. And there's Tim Berry getting involved along with Billy Smith, just adding on to that damage, pretty much just ending his day completely.
You see Buchanan turning the 9 of Ryan Silva into the inside wall, and we saw his merge attempt there, and it didn't quite work out. He was able to keep going, but a lot of other cars getting involved. You see the debris flying off of the 85. Billy Smith getting involved there. Lulu Connie as well. And we also saw in the other replay, Tim Berry getting spun around. That was actually the cause of the caution, but that wasn't even the end of it, as Wheeler, there you see he just gets up into Hollenbeck's lane. Hollenbeck was not expecting it. And a lot of the cars that maybe could have kept going after that, like Connie with the hard hit there into Wheeler, and then especially Tim Berry ending up ending their races after colliding, slowing down for the caution. So a lot of different things happening there basically in one lap, and it took out a lot of cars. Some of it definitely a little unnecessary, but that's kind of the craziness of Hillside. Sometimes you get stuff like this where you even have multiple crashes on the same lap. I believe that might have happened at some point last year as well, but I'm not quite certain. But it's a very chaotic racetrack, and there you see some of the very chaotic incidents that we could potentially see later in the race. Welcome back here at the Hillside Raceway, wrapping up caution number 1 of the night. Already got 5 cars out of the race. Billy Smith, Adrian Wheeler, Lulu Connie, Charlie McCarron, and Tim Berry, from what we presume was 2 different incidents on lap number 4. Possibly linked to each other, but, you know, we don't watch the replays until the end due to sometimes we get some technical issues when we look at them afterwards, but just a protocol to be safe. But pace car will pull in, and it will be JT Boyd leading them to the field. He, Taps, and Herndon all stayed out under that last caution, and everybody else came in pit. We are back racing, and Taps is getting put to the outside by Lake and Herndon, and Joanna Clark, the first one to come in pit, restarted in 4th, and she's going to try and get up to 3rd, maybe 2nd here on this restart as the 16 goes up the track. You can just see them kind of slide off at turn number 4, and that's what makes this track so precarious, is that you do not have much control of your car on the exit of the banking. I mean, even the straightaways are banked here. Again, it's a lot like Dover. As for the race lead, here comes Lakin Herndon, and he is going to easily blow past JT Boyd, but here comes Joanna Clark. Jacob Lopez is going to lose it, but he's going to save it going into turn 1. The 41 tried to avoid, and she's into the
Here we
wall.
go again.
And we've got another crash. Corbin Taps was in it. Oh, I think she just clipped the 32. And Kate Summers also gets piled up. And Karina Willis-Callaway's day is done as well, as that is the black smoke of death coming out of the car. And we're already
Man,
on our second caution of the night.
I was just gonna say, unlike Sylvia's crash, Jacob Lopez was able to come back onto the track and everyone was able to stay clean. But that top side, there was just a little bit of contact, and that was enough to get them stirred around. And there they went.
Yeah, Karina was moving up the track because she knew what happened last time with the 9 car, so she was trying to prevent that same thing from happening. But unfortunately, there was a car to her outside, and that's going to take her out of the race. Unfortunate for that small team. Karina has done a great job of driving for them the last few years, but it has not been a good year for her so far. But you know, JT Boyd and Lakin Herndon definitely benefited from staying out. They got a lot of track position, and now everybody's coming back into the pits.
I saw Nathan was one of the ones that appeared to have had damage on the back end of his car. I wonder what happened to him. I didn't quite see it.
Nathan Buchanan in the 15. Where is he? I think he's pitting in the back, because, yeah, he does have some rear end damage on his car. Not sure what happened to the 15. I mean, you kind of just get damage here just because of how close quarters it is. It is a lot like a short track. I mean, the other track I'd compare this to is Bristol, and there's a lot of rubbing in that one. So, bit of a shake-up at the front. Looks like Vinny Scholes, your pick to win, has gotten the lead out of the pits. Tyler Landry up to 2nd. I'm not sure if Taps is on the lead lap right now, and he's coming back into the pits to repair some more damage, so regardless of whether he is, he's given up his spot. I believe Buchanan is actually going to restart. Yeah, he's going to restart in 4th with that damage. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the restart. See if that slows him down too much. But a lot of Chevys up here. We got one in 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Well, wrapping up our second caution of the race. It's been a race of attrition so far, as is typical of Hillside, but we've still got a long ways to go. We'll show you what happened to bring out the caution, and then we'll get back to the restart at the Hillside Raceway. Jacob Lopez comes up into JT Boyd and tries to save it, and actually does, without getting into anybody. Unfortunately, it still inadvertently causes an incident. Karina Willis-Callaway slides up into Jackson, then down into Tajima, then up into the wall after trying to avoid the 50. Taps and Buchanan get involved. And then you see the hit with the 32 of Kate Summers hard into the wall for her. A couple other cars got piled in. We mentioned Buchanan, Taps, and Spur getting some minor damage in that, but big hits for the 41 and the 32. The smoke pouring out of Karina Willis Callaway's car. That Caliber collision car definitely been in a collision here today. And that was unfortunate because she was running up towards the front. It could have been a very good run for that team, but unfortunately the car is junked and she took a couple others with her.
Looking back at this from another angle, as you see, we saw Jacob Lopez go all the way down to the bottom, ends up saving it, but that's not the case for Callaway, as ends up getting contact with Tap, and then just chaos ensues throughout the rest of the corner. Just nowhere for anyone to really go. A lot of these guys had such good cars early on, but these early collisions already just taking them out one by one.
Welcome back here at Hillside. You just saw what brought out the second caution of the race and took out Kate Summers and Karina Willis Callaway. That is huge for Kate because she was 10th in points entering this race in the last spot of the chase, excluding the wild cards. So she is going to drop back in the standings. That's unfortunate for her. But her teammate, Vinny Scholes, is out in front. She's the last Pacific Racing driver left because Lulu Connie was taken out in the first crash. Tyler Landry is in second, Joanna Clark third, a damage to Nathan Buchanan in fourth, and Jacob Lopez, trying to go 3 in a row, is restarting in fifth. Green flag is back out. We've got about 85 laps to go, and Vinny Scholes will lead them across the line.
Already Jacob pulling the move on the inside of Nathan Buchanan, following along right behind him on the 45. James Harvin, now going to try and move the 50 for the fourth spot. Going to try and take him on the inside. Jacob holds on strong as we enter turn one. Now the 58 clears. Joanna Clark trying to search for the lead over Vinny Scholes.
Tyler Landry dropped a bunch of spots on the outside. He got put 3 wide after Joanna Clark went underneath, and Martin Swain ended up flying past. How about that for Martin Swain, the part-time driver, the series veteran? I mean, he's doing a great job in his own car, running up in P4. And for the race lead, Joanna Clark has continued to grab the lead on these restarts. We can tell this 58 is very fast, and she's going to get the lead again from the 62 of Vinny Scholes. And now Scholes is under fire from the 45 of James Harvin. Vinny Scholes caused 2 accidents in last year's running. She was involved in all 3 cautions, so it's good to see her up here and not getting into anybody. But now we've got into a bit of a rhythm here. Holly Martin tries to pass the 50 and will, so Martin will move back up to 5th and maybe get by Swain for 4th, and they're side by side for 2nd with Harvin and Scholes. Definitely a lot of battles going on all throughout the field, especially up here at the front.
Yeah, Vinny Scholes right now, these last few laps, has been trapped on that outside, hasn't really been able to hook onto that bottom. Seems to be fighting a lot of that banking in the middle of the corners. Just can't really seem to hold the car together. Everyone's been able to come up to him and get around, as we just saw with the 45 and the 58 both.
Yeah, James Harvin and Joanna Clark trying to pull away from the pack here. Holly Martin up to 4th. This 27 is flying as well. But we saw the 27 was flying with Adrienne Pearson last year. And Regent, we know what happened. But trying to prevent that from happening again. Lap number 22, as you can see, those 7 laps that we ran went by in a flash. So these things are really going to take down. Alnita Kim trying to extend her points lead even further, running in P6 right now. Ashley Blake in 7th, Darren Walker having a solid run in 8th. JT Boyd has needed a good run for a while. He's just had a lot of bad luck these last few weeks. Got into a wreck at Kansas, along with a lot of other drivers, but good to see him up here in the top 10. Zach Dearman just outside the top 10. That's about where he's been running all year, so it's fitting to see him here in 11th. Holly Martin, George Bryan, and we're starting to see some cars with damage a little bit further back here. Look at how far back Landry ended up getting put. All the way back to P16.
this is not good for Landry. I mean, if you think about last race at Kansas, he started in the front row and ended up losing track position, I believe, from a bad pit stop and couldn't get back to the front since then until like later on in the race. So right now the consistency is just not there for that 66 team.
Definitely not, but this 27 is flying. She is up to second place. And we were just looking at some of the off-the-pace cars. Last year's winner, Corbin Taps, has some damage. Jake Sidney is a bit behind the pack. Cooper Spur, JB Chanot have some damage. But not quite catching up to lap cars yet, as we are now a quarter of the way through the race. Joanna Clark currently has the lead. Holly Martin in second. Honda has not won yet this year. All of the races have been won by either a Toyota or a Chevy. But Joanna Clark trying to put an end to that as they catch up to Corbin Taps. And Clark's going to slide up the track, try and go around the outside of the 16. I'm not sure if that's the best move, but she made it work. And now the 16 is in Holly Martin's way. So Joanna Clark actually played that pretty good, going around the outside there. But here comes Kim and
smart.
Boyd. The 79 and 77 making their way through the field. Kim now in third, Boyd now in fourth as James Harvin slips to fifth. They're thinking about 3 wide. They are going to go 3 wide into turn 3. The 6 is going to back out, though, before anything further happens. And James Harvin is now tumbling down the order as the 18 had a slide out of the corner, but kept it off of the 8 of Darren Walker. Harvin continues to lose spots as he's right in the middle of the hornet's nest now. This is not a spot where you want to be if you're Harvin, Lopez, or really any of these guys.
Yeah, it's just that outside here is just so detrimental. It's so terrible. It puts you in that spot.
DuPont's
We got one round.
And he is spinning,
DuPont.
and that is probably going to bring out the caution. If the game doesn't do it, I'm going to do it. So, caution is out. Kevin DuPont's day is done. The smoke pouring out of the 98. And back to the line, Joanna Clark will lead Holly Martin there. And that's unfortunate there for DuPont. He was just outside the top 10, but he just got turned off of turn 4. That's a big trouble spot on this racetrack, and it's already bitten a couple of them. And DuPont's just going to add to that list.
I wonder if there was a little bit of crossfire there on corner exit. I wonder if maybe he came down and the one on the bottom maybe came up, or if he just kind of got loose off of the corner and maybe that's what drew the contact. But overall, just bad outcome there for DuPont.
Good news for Corbin Taps. He is going to get one of his laps back as he has earned the free pass. But he's 2 laps down, so he's going to have to get another one. Well, let's watch this pit stop. Everybody coming in once again. This is what we've seen under the cautions. Most of the drivers coming in and taking tires because the tire wear is pretty significant at this racetrack. Pit window's about 40-ish laps. I'd say just under 40 laps, which, again, for a track like this, that is a pretty short pit window. So from here, they can make it to they can make it on one more stop after this one. Let's watch that pit lane, though. Clark finishing up her pit stop. Holly Martin, though, has the first pit box, but a bit of a slow exit off out of her pit box. Not much shuffling in the top 3, but we got a bit of shuffling in the top 10. Shauna Everett's going to gain some spots in the pits. They mostly came in about where they mostly came out about where they came in, so not as much shuffling as there was on some of the previous cycles. The lap cars will come down, and Corbin Taps will take his free pass once that's all said and done. But third caution of the day for Kevin DuPont, spinning off of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. We'll show you again what happened to the 98 car, and then we'll get back to the restart at Hillside. Well, here we see what happened for our third caution of the day. George Bryan just taps the quarter panel of Kevin DuPont and then gets hooked. DuPont hard into the inside wall and then starts spinning backwards across the track. Actually doesn't quite get on the racing surface, which is why the caution didn't initially come out, but we still threw a yellow for it anyway. But heavy damage on the 98. He is going to be out of the race. Got the smoke of death coming out of it, and it's just unfortunate for him. He was running up towards the top 10, but he just got hooked. Nothing he could really do about it.
Again, coming off a turn 4, the Calamity corner just almost clear for DuPont in front of Brian, but just not enough room. Just spins down into the inside wall, pretty much ending DuPont's day.
Welcome back here at the Hillside Raceway. Wrapping up caution number 3 of the race that took out Kevin DuPont. Also worth noting, Lakin Herndon is out of the race as well. He blew his engine, I believe, under the previous yellow. So he is now out as well. So that is unfortunate. We've had quite a few retirements already. I believe 9 of them within the first 35 laps of the race. Joanna Clark is your leader, and the NH Motorsports teammates of Holly Martin and JT Boyd are currently 2nd and 3rd. Ashley Blake, Alnita Kim round out the top 5. Lori Jackson, Shauna Everett, Vinny Scholes, Jacob Lopez, Darren Walker round out the top 10. Pace car will pull off here. He had a bit of a longer green flag run last time. Maybe we'll get it again on this restart. Joanna Clark is on the gas, and we are back racing here at Hillside, and Holly Martin is wasting no time trying to get by this 58 car.
That was a great start by Holly, being able to stay right there on the bumper entering turn 1, was able to get the arrow a little bit on Joanna Clark entering the corner, slid him up, able to take the spot. Now Boyd follows right behind for the 2nd spot. NH Motorsports 1-2.
Yeah, this is a great... Oh, caution is out again. Oh, big crash on the front stretch.
Oh.
Shauna Everett, Darren Walker, and Zach Dearman. That is big for Dearman as he sits, I believe, 13th in points right now, just outside of a wildcard spot. And heavy damage on Darren Walker's car. He has had a struggle of a season. He's usually one of the best we've got, but he won 3 races last year. It has been a miserable start, though, for the veteran driver. Heavy front-end damage, which we saw him get after he ran into the 57.
Yeah, heavy damage on the 57. Back end of the
Taps.
18 is killed.
Corbin Taps is going to be back on the lead lap. Oh. Now he got most of the cars staying out, but Holly Martin is coming in. And so is the 45 car.
I wonder if this is some sort of strategy, but I wonder how this is going to pay out because, I mean, they're going to be all the way in the back. We've seen how chaotic these guys have been. It's all just a matter of if this is going to benefit them in the long run or not.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe they thought, everybody came in and pitted last time. They weren't expecting them all to stay out this time, but I wouldn't want to be in the back right now. I don't know about that. Especially for the 27 and 45. I understand why the damaged cars are pitting, but I don't know why these two are. Looks like a splash and dash for the 27 car. Only taking fuel.
I want to say the Martin there took maybe right side or 4 tires along with that, but as you said, Holly just only did a splash and go, so maybe this is part of the strategy, have that extra fuel toward the end of this race.
It was a splash and go. No tires. Well, Walker is now out of the race, but it looks like the other 2 involved are still out there, so that's good news for them, but the bad news is that they're going to be damaged. Well, that's caution number 4 of the race, and we're not even halfway through, and we'll go ahead and show you what happened to bring out the yellow, and then we'll get back to the restart once again at Hillside. 4th caution of the day is caused by Darren Walker sliding up the track into Shauna Everett, collects Zach Dearman with him, and the trifecta of Walker Brothers racing cars crashing out of the race has been completed with that one. But unfortunate there for all 3 of those cars. Looking to have a good run here today. Walker especially needed one. He's 21st in points. And there you see him run into Shauna Everett to cause more damage on the car. I think that is actually what took him out of the race. He might have been able to keep going if that didn't happen, but just wasn't paying attention and causing more damage to the front end of the Truist Honda. Dearman and Everett will still be able to keep racing, but not sure at what pace they're going to have, considering both of them have heavy rear end damage, but Darren Walker definitely getting the worst of it, and A lot of cautions in the first half of this one, and that's just kind of typical for Hillside sometimes. You kind of get these races where you get a lot of yellows, so that's unfortunate news for Walker. He'll be out of the race, and took a couple more with him, but again, a lot of incidents here to start this one, and all of them coming off of turn 4. That really has been Calamity Corner here today.
Taking a look back one more time off of 4, Walker moves up the track, just not enough room. Ends up clipping Everett and brings Dearman along with them. All 3 of them slide on the bottom of the racetrack. Thankfully, no one really came back up when everyone else was passing by, so no other cars were involved. But after that contact there that Walker had to the back end of Everett, that pretty much is going to end Walker's day. The other 2 might be able to stay on the track if the damage isn't severe enough, but Walker pretty much out for the rest of this race.
Welcome back here at the Hillside Raceway, wrapping up caution number 4 of the night, and we're not even halfway through. JT Boyd is your current leader, Alnita Kim is second, and then it's Lori Jackson, Joanna Clark, and Jacob Lopez rounding out the top 5. Darren Walker was the only retirement from that accident. Corbin Taps has gotten both of his laps back now and is now on the lead lap, which means we have 24 lead lap cars left in this race. And it's been quite the eventful race so far in terms of the accidents. We had one somewhat long run of about 15-ish laps, but most of it has been kind of stop and go so far. Pace car will pull off into the pit lane, and Boyd will lead them to the green with Alnita Kim behind. And Kim got a pretty good restart and is looking a lot like what Holly Martin did on that previous one. And Alnita Kim, once again, is trying to put herself in P1. And Joanna Clark has been very fierce on these restarts as well, as she's going to make her way up to second and possibly get the lead from the 79. Nobody has been better at reclaiming the lead on the restarts than Joanna Clark has tonight, as she is underneath Kim, and it looks like she's going to get that Diamond Motorsports Honda back into the front. New leader, Joanna Clark.
Man, what a restart. I mean, yeah, Joanna Clark's already just shown such tremendous speed here today. And look at this. What about Jacob Lopez starting to make his way back to the front? He came up for a little bit earlier, then dropped back, and now he's come back, currently going for the second spot over Alnita Kim. And even Vinny's starting to come back after dropping back a little bit after one of the last restarts that we've had.
Here comes Lopez underneath the 58 of Clark, trying to be the first driver to win 3 races in a row in LSCI, and he is going to take the lead from Joanna Clark. Vinny Scholes is now up to 3rd. Alnita Kim is dropping spots. Here's a couple of names we haven't mentioned yet tonight. Akia Tajima and Damon Kirby have broken the top 10. Kirby, for the small single-car streamline racing, having a pretty solid season given that equipment, but just has not had that great of luck. But he has found himself up into P6, I think P5 now actually, as he's gotten by Tajima. So great run for him. Here comes Scholes for second. There has been no shortage of passing here in this race. Lots of shakeups all throughout the race, lots of comers and goers. Clark getting put on the outside by Blake, and then Kirby. Oh, they're gonna go.
Oh,
they're
contact.
gonna get into each other. They're gonna save it though. That could have been another accident as they doored each other off at turn 2. Damon Kirby just went a little too wide, and he's going to take that spot, and I'm not sure if Clark's going to appreciate that move. We'll see what happens if Clark gets back to the bumper of that 70. Ashley Blake up to second. She currently has a long winless drought, which dates all the way back to 2023. So she's going to want to put that to bed here for sure. We saw JB Chanot end a winless drought that was about that long back at COTA. Maybe Blake can do the same and finally get Blake Everett Motorsports their first win.
Man, yeah, just showing great speed. I've noticed that so far today with this race here at Hillside. There's a lot of these smaller teams starting to put themselves out there and going into possible winning contention, competing against some of these other veterans, such as Jacob, such as Vinny, such as Clark. It's just amazing to see just the raw power that they're able to bring out today. Seeing all the different moves, all these passes happening with this bottom lane. Just seeing how much can really happen with this track and these high banks.
Yeah, for sure. We are now past halfway here at Hillside. Vinny Schultz has now moved up to second. Joanna Clark moving into third. Might get to the quarter panel of the 62, and she will. Going into turns 3 and 4, and Joanna Clark's going to move back up to second. We saw Ashley Blake move back to fifth after getting shuffled out there. Another slide off the corner for Kirby. That's going to save Vinny Schultz from losing another spot. She'll slot into third, and we're spreading out just a little bit, but the chaos has definitely not subsided. Zach Dearman, who was in that last accident, is now back up into the top 10. Simon Lawrenson for Checkered Flag Racing is in the top 10. So we've got quite a bit of upset potential up here inside the top 10. Dearman trying to go for 8th now with no rear end on that car, basically. Trying to get by George Bryan, who's been the definition of consistency this season. Not a single finish worse than 17th. He's been riding around the back half of the top 10 all day long. And Corbin Taps looks like he's fallen another lap down. So he just got those 2 laps back, but that car is definitely bruised and battered and off the pace. So unfortunate there for Taps as he goes a lap down again. But here comes Clark trying to close back in on Lopez. And we're going to have a battle for the lead here very shortly. These two have been 2 of the fastest cars all night. We'll see which one of them ends up coming out on top, or maybe it'll be somebody else. We've still got a lot of race left to go.
Man, I don't know what it is with that 58 machine, but every time they fall back, they just seem to be able to come back every single time. It just shows how well they've gotten this car dialed in here. I mean, no matter how many times they've been stuck on that outside, they just find their groove again to come back. But so far as of late, they haven't really found their point to get back to the lead. I think this run right here, we might be able to see that pass finally happen.
We're actually starting to get some green flag laps in. That's definitely something that I'm excited to see, and definitely that's something that these teams are excited to see, because you know they don't appreciate their cars getting junked. Here comes George Bryan. We just pointed him out earlier. He's moving up to P6. Alnita Kim is dropping spots. Holly Martin, Zach Dearman will both get by the 79, and maybe the 10 and the 45 will have a shot to get a spot here, but Kim will slot in to P9. So the 79 is drifting back, but you know, she's got over a race lead worth of points. We know she'll be the points leader after this race. George Bryan is the one that's second in points, and he's currently a few spots ahead of her right now, but Corbin Taps third in points has run into some trouble. But I think Jacob Lopez might be the biggest concern at this point for Alnita Kim and some of those drivers further up the standings, trying to go for 3 in a row, but Joanna Clark wants a win of her own. She's trying to get underneath the 50 car of Lopez. This would be huge for Joanna Clark in the chase race to get herself a win, get herself one of those wild card spots at least. She's currently 19th in points, actually the second highest Honda, which is pretty impressive there for Diamond Motorsports, considering they've been struggling a lot the last few years. Clark was not able to get by Lopez that time by, but you know she's going to have a few more charges on that 50 car. Ashley Blake trying to get into the podium. Vinny Schultz going to pull on the block, and here you can see, as the run goes on, it actually starts to become more difficult to pass. It has not been almost automatic like it was on those restarts. Once we've got that green flag run coming in, those tires start wearing out. This track chews up tires. Again, it's made of concrete, much like Bristol and Dover, so it does get a lot harder to pass in the run, and you're seeing that here as Clark is struggling to get by the 50, and the 36 is struggling to get by the 62.
I'll tell you what, one person that's really starting to catch my eye, now finally back in the top 10 after taking that splash and go earlier, Holly Martin's making their way back toward the front.
Yeah, up into P7. Holly Martin trying to gain those spots after she gave them up to take some more fuel. Vinny Schultz finally got passed by both the 36 and the 70. Moved them up to 3rd and 4th. And we noted that the Fords have been struggling this season. Well, here's 2 of them up inside the top 5. Not the 2 that you'd expect, though. I mean, Hudson Motorsports has been the leading Ford team for quite a bit. Maybe you expect to see a Blake Everett car up here every now and again, but this 70 car is not one that you normally see up at the front. And this has been a trend, Regent, that we've seen in this race. A lot of these smaller teams are showing out. That was kind of the case last year, but last year it was more because we had that massive accident midway through the race, and some of them were able to get by and take advantage of that. But here we've seen a lot of them, like the 58, the 36, and the 70, have some genuinely really good pace, and especially coming towards the second half of this race. So that's definitely something you like to see. George Bryan is now going to move into the top 5 as Vinny Scholes drops another spot. This 62 definitely seems to be more of a short run car compared to everybody else. So Scholes is definitely going to be waiting for those pit stops, and she's going to be glad to come in and put on some new tires.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about the short run. I mean, as you said, this track is concrete. It's eating up these tires. You can see, like right here, for example, Joanna Clark just hasn't been able to find her way around Jacob Lopez. He's been able to hold on strong with that lead spot. Now that that inside lane is not really a good spot to pass anymore, it's been difficult. Ashley Blake even starting to catch up to these top two throughout this time, because we see the 3 George Bryan take over the 4th spot.
Yeah, Kirby's going to drop back. This 3 car definitely, in contrast to Vinny Scholes, has a very good long run car. I mean, he's up to P4 now. He's just been climbing spots. He's made it the easiest looking to pass. And we are approaching 30 laps to go. Again, they're going to have to pit one more time, but I think they can make it on just one more stop. This 3 car is continuing to try and get spots. The 36
into the
trying
wall
to get a run on the outside, and that's going to pay with a slap to the wall for Ashley Blake. And the bad news about that is that they're going to have to waste time fixing it in the pit lane as well. So that could definitely harm the 36 coming up on these green flag pit stops. Zach Dearman, with that crunched up rear end, is continuing to gain spots. He's the closer for a reason. He is the last guy you want to see in your mirror late in the race, because he finds a way to get himself into the lead, and he has just put himself inside the top 5. JT Boyd was outside the top 10 not too long ago, and he's found himself back up into 7th. Oh, here we go. Ashley Blake is coming in, and so has Clark and Lopez. The leaders have pitted. We've got our green flag cycle underway, and again, they should be able to make it to the end from here. But we've seen a lot of pitting shenanigans, so we'll have to just keep an eye on that just in case. But I think they'll be good from here to go.
This is what I was saying. I think pitting early is going to be the key factor here. If you're one of the first ones to pit, I believe you are going to have the advantage coming out to make sure that you leapfrog the rest of those that stayed out a lap later. So I'm curious to see how they're going to cycle out here.
Yeah, the front 3 all came in first. George Bryan ended up taking an extra lap there. Here's the 50 of Lopez. He will get out with the lead. And then the 58 and the 79. And it was like I said about the damage with the 36 of Ashley Blake. Look at how much ground she lost. Oh, they're 3 wide exiting the pits. That's not something you want to see. But look at Ashley Blake. Look at how far back she's fallen, all the way in the back now. So that is bad news there for Ashley Blake in the 36 as they get up to speed. Second group of cars comes out. You saw Lopez. He's going to cycle out as the leader. Bryan and Kirby are going to cycle in about 4th and 5th. I think that's where they were before. But the big winner on all of that was Alnita Kim, who's going to end up in P3 after that pit cycle, after being around 7th or 8th before the cycle. So that 79 team really nailed their pit stop for sure.
And now we just see right here, this is going to be the pass for the lead. It gets checked up there.
Corbin Taps was coming into the pits. Joanna Clark's going to close right on the back of him. This is her opportunity right here to get past. And there's another lap car, JB Chanot, who's getting in the way of the 58. And Alnita Kim is possibly going to get reeled into this as well. But Joanna Clark will take advantage of that big check up there and will take the lead away from Jacob Lopez. We got 25 laps to go this time by. The 58 and the 50 have pulled out to about a 1.5 second lead, but we'll see if Alnita Kim can close in, and we'll see if maybe those fresher tires for George Bryan and Damon Kirby will kick in towards the end of the run, and they might start closing in on the leaders. But right now, it is between the 58 and the 50. Lopez, with the first ever 3-peat in LSCI history on the line, Joanna Clark trying to get a upset win for Diamond Motorsports, get her 3rd career win. Lopez had to check up in the middle of the corner there, and Clark's going to keep the lead for now, but Lopez is still right behind her, and he's got plenty of time to try and think about making that move.
Man, just great defense right now from Joanna Clark, being able to hold off that 50, knowing how strong Jacob is, especially with the consistency that they've had. Oh, now gonna end up checking up off of the corner. Here comes Jacob Lopez to the inside, entering 3. Gonna try and go for the lead. Joanna Clark slides up the track on that high side, and there goes Lopez, now taking the point.
Jacob Lopez back out in front once again, looking for that three-peat. He did not have the greatest of starts to the year, but he has caught fire in this stretch of races. But Joanna Clark can still stop him. There is about 21 laps to go next time by. And don't rule out a caution either to shake things up. I mean, we've already seen 4 of them in this race, and I know they're a lot more spread out now. But with the nature of this track, just one mistake, and all of a sudden you got the yellow back out, the pace cars back out on the track, and we rack them back up. So definitely don't count that out. We did have a long green flag run to end last year's race, but you know, this is Hillside. It's pretty unpredictable. We could definitely get some of that. These top 2, though, are pulling away from Alnita Kim now after that little excursion. Vinny Scholes has actually moved up to 5th, gotten past the 70 of Damon Kirby. How about Jack Gino in the 81? He's 27th in points right now. The inaugural champion in 2022 has had his roughest start to the season yet. He's got a little bit of front-end damage on that 81 car, but he's up in P7. He is looking at a top 10 run here, a much-needed one, and he will also get by Kirby. JT Boyd's another driver that needed a good run as well. He's down there with Gino in points, and they're going to move up.
I'm surprised by these cars. I'm surprised by these cars with the damage. I mean, you'd think that they'd be dropping back like flies, but one's like right here, the 81 of Jack Gino, even Zach Dearman, who had damage earlier. All of these guys with damage have just been able to keep themselves out front and actually still salvaging decent runs, really good runs here at Hillside. It's been impeccable to see how these cars are performing aside from all the damage.
Last year, we saw Damon Kirby, when he was driving for Checkered Flag Racing, actually finished 6th without a front end on his car. But again, that was mostly because we had a big accident. But this track's not as aero-dependent as some of the others, of course, with it being basically a short track. So sometimes you do see cars with damage running out in front. I tell you what, though, that 50 is pulling away from Joanna Clark. 0.6 of a second last time by, and that gap continues to grow. Clark's going to really need to find something here late in the run if she wants a shot at this. About the same gap last time by, but Jacob Lopez is starting to run away, and it's looking like he is trying to pull off a feat that none thought possible, winning 3 LSCI races in a row with a series with as much parity as this one. It's unheard of. In fact, we hadn't even seen anybody win 2 in a row in the Cup Series until Corbin Taps opened out the season with 2 in a row this season. But Lopez is trying to one-up that. 14 laps to go. 0.8 of a second back to Joanna Clark. He is in very good standing to try and get that win, but the 16 is going to be a problem again. They're going to catch him one more time, and if Lopez catches him at a bad time, that could reel the 58 back in and give her one more shot. But we'll
I mean, you could see it right now.
Out.
The times they're just falling back for Clark. She definitely needs something to happen to this 50. And you were just talking about the lap traffic incident earlier, where they started going at it due to Tap being in the middle of the track and holding Jacob back. Bill still being able to make his way around it. But overall, I mean, Jacob started like 29th this race, and he's managed to find his way all the way to the front in real good contention as we cross the line with 11 to go. In a real good spot, trying to get around on the inside. He's going to be able to clear the lap traffic, so with that might be able to cement his win unless a caution comes out.
Yeah, and within 10 laps to go, we don't have the lap cars lined up on the inside, although this is a short track, so we actually turned that off for this race anyway, like we did at Rockingham. But 1.4 seconds now. Jacob Lopez is running away with this thing. I think something's going to happen to that 50 for him to lose the race. A caution could still throw a wrench into things just by bunching everybody back up again. But as the tires wear once again, Lopez is in a fantastic spot. And this man has been almost unstoppable in the month of May. Dominated at Phoenix, barely eked out the win at Kansas, and he is looking for another dominant win here at Hillside to get his 10th career win. He'll be the first one to hit double digits. Nobody else even has 6 wins. And the Season 3 champion, or the Season 2 champion, the 2023 champion, is looking very strong here at the end of this race, getting by the lap car of Cooper Spur. Spur is 23rd right now, and I believe he's just gone a lap down. Oh no, he's gone a second lap down. We've got 21 cars on the lead lap right now. But we are running out of laps, and Joanna Clark continues to fade. Checking back a little bit further, George Bryan has actually lost spots since getting those fresh tires, so that undercut did not help, or the overcut rather, did not help that 3 car. JT Boyd, though, is looking like he's going to get a pretty good finish. Same with Vinny Scholes. Back-to-back top 5s for this 62 would be excellent for her in the wildcard race, as she currently sits 11th in the standings. But Jacob Lopez, he has just, again, like we said, he's just been almost unstoppable this month, looking for yet another win to add to his trophy case.
Man, yeah, they just truly dialed something in this car after that last stop, because, I mean, both Jacob and Joanna were pretty much neck and neck throughout this entire race. Every time they battled, no one could get away from the other. But now, as we've gone on to this longer run after that last stop, Jacob's just been able to pull away more and more every lap. It's just impressive with the speed and the consistency they've had recently throughout these last 3 races, including today. So far, looking out to close out for 3rd win in a row this year.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding what we have seen from the all-time wins leader here. He has absolutely been on fire these last few weeks, almost untouchable. 3 laps to go for Jacob Lopez. That gap is now out to 2.1 seconds. Joanna Clark is not going to get to him. We've got a battle for 3rd between JT Boyd and Alnita Kim right here. Boyd desperately needs a good finish, so that's good to see. Same for Holly Martin, who's just gotten past Vinny Scholes. Great to see a lot of these drivers up here. Damon Kirby, Jack Gino. James Harvey's looking for his 6th top 10 in 8 races. Very impressive for the 45 car, but a lap and a half left to go. Jacob Lopez just needs to get around the track cleanly, without issue. And he's going to see the white flag right here. 1 lap to go here from Hillside. Jacob Lopez going for his unprecedented 3rd win in a row. And he's about 20 seconds away from getting that checkered flag. 2.7 seconds back to Joanna Clark. She is merely a dot in the mirror right now. And history will be made in Boston as Jacob Lopez will get his 3rd consecutive win. And he is the first LSCI driver to get to 10 wins. What an outstanding stretch for Jacob Lopez. And he gets another checkered flag here at Hillside.
Just domination there in that second half. I mean, he started just in front of the top 30 in this race, and the climb back from that, making sure to get through all of the wrecks, all the cautions we had early on, to come out and win after making some adjustments to that car, battling one of the strongest cars of the race. Just absolutely outstanding by that 50 team.
Absolutely put on a masterclass here at the end of this race. Almost 3 seconds back to Joanna Clark, when Clark actually took the lead from him after the pit cycle, passed him on the track, but Lopez got her back with about 20 laps to go, and he never looked back from there. He absolutely ran away with this thing. Just an outstanding performance. There's a reason he is the all-time wins leader, and he now has double the next closest driver. There's a few different drivers that have 5 wins. I believe Gino, Landry, maybe Tim Berry, I think, are included in that. But Nobody has anywhere near as many as Jacob Lopez. He is absolutely on fire right now. Joanna Clark, though, still had a fantastic run. Best finish of the year for Clark, finishes second. JT Boyd will finish third. Alnita Kim was looking for her third straight third place in a row and her fourth in the last 5 races, but she's still gonna get P4, and she's gonna extend that points lead just a little bit. George Bryan finishes right behind her in 5th. That's his second 5th place in a row. I think it's fair to say Alnita Kim and Jacob Lopez, the 79 and the 50, are probably your 2 championship favorites in the early part of the season. And then the back half of the top 10 is full of drivers that really needed good runs. Holly Martin in 6th, Vinnie Scholl's 7th. That's her second top 10 in a row. She's definitely going to jump into the top 10 in points here. That's great for her. Damon Kirby, Jack Gino, Simon Lawrenson, 3 struggling Fords this season, all get top 10s. Great runs for all of them. That's Lawrenson's second of the season, also second of the season for Gino, and also Damon Kirby. All of them get their second top 10s of the season. Landry, Harvin, Jackson. I mean, it's not a top 10, but Lori Jackson, 13th. That's a solid run for her. Desperately needed that as well. 21 cars finished on the lead lap. 26 cars finished the race. And here you could see all of the cars that retired from the race, including some heavy hitters. Darren Walker, all 3 of the Walker brothers cars, Walker, DuPont, and McCarran, all out of the race. Tim Berry, I mean, especially with all those cars that had good runs that were behind him in points, like Boyd, Gino, Lawrenson, Kirby. I mean, he is going to dramatically fall in the standings. And I think if you're the 1 car, you got to start pushing the panic button, because I mean, there's still about 12 races to go till the chase, but like, it is not looking good for Tim Berry right now. He has just been absolutely suffering a championship hangover. Kate Summers and Adrian Wheeler, who both crashed last week, also crashed this week. So unfortunate stuff for them. Billy Smith, 14th in points, did not need that. He had a run of 4 good races in a row between races 2 through 5, but it's been a struggle. That's another driver that crashed out at Kansas as well. So just bad news for all of them, but good news for Jacob Lopez. And Regent, what did you think about that race? And maybe you can provide us a little preview for Iowa next week.
I mean, this race just had everything. You had passes, you had cautions, you had action almost everywhere you look pretty much throughout this entire thing. And the fact that it all came down just to that final stop and the adjustments made on the car just proved it. The way the track changed its grooves to where as the tires got older, it was much harder to pass. That just really set the tone for what we were seeing in that second half. And though there was a few good contenders taken out early on, I mean, this track still just a lot of action that I truly found entertaining. I'm pretty sure as much as you did. And going into Iowa next week, I think, in my opinion, if I'm all the other drivers with the rest of their teams, I'm eyeing down any sort of way to get in front of that 50.
Yeah, Jacob Lopez. I mean, what can you say? The results speak for themselves. 3 wins in a row for Jacob Lopez. Never been done before, and he's going to go for 4 at Iowa. And that's a track that Lopez is very good at. So I would not be surprised if he gets 4 in a row even. He's just been on fire. They're going to be chasing the back of that McDonald's Chevy for sure. But thank you, Regent, for joining me in the booth. I'm glad to have you for your first LSCI race. And that's going to do it for today's broadcast. On behalf of Regent, this is Brendan Wilmington from the Left Turn Network, signing out. Here are your point standings after race number 8 of the season, which will be on your screen right now.